couple days later, I get the Purelator guy there.
Yeah.
And he says, "Are you Jeffrey Pike?" I'm like, "Yep, that's me." And he hands me a package. He says, "Congratulations." So I'm like, "Oh, okay."
Okay.
So I open it, and it's my diploma
Oh.
from my university.
Yay.
So I guess I missed my e-convocation or something.
Oh.
And they just sent me my diploma in the mail.
So everyone at your school just thinks that you're just a flake who just didn't give a shit about
whatever,
it. Whatever. Yeah.
But I know you've been, holding off calling me a doctor because it's not official yet.
I don't think that's true. I actually have been calling you a doctor this whole time, but
from now on you'll address me as doctor every single time. I'm sure. So
all right, doctor,
because it is official now.
Thank you, doctor.
And we can host, deck doctor segments.
Exactly.
And stuff
like that. Yeah. It's official. Jeff is a doctor.
That's right,
Dr. Jeff.
Yeah.
Hello and welcome to episode 8 of the Arena Regulars podcast. I'm Zach.
And I'm Dr. Jeff.
You got me. I didn't think you were going to do that. I was not prepared for that. And we are regulars on Magic the Gathering Arena.
Favorite bar to drink at?
It's my favorite bar because I don't have to put on pants.
That's right.
Yeah. We got a couple things this week. So we're just going to talk about the end and the start of the new season. And then we have the Zendikar Rising Championship Fantasy Draft coming up this weekend. Or sorry, the Fantasy Draft is today.
Yeah.
But the Championship is this weekend.
That's
but
right.
Before we do that, each week we both bring a beer, we drink our own, then drink each other's, and then rate them on a scale of bronze to mythic, and then choose the best for last. So with that, Jeff, what is on tap?
All right, so I brought a beer called Outside Jokes. I liked the name. That was mainly why I chose it. It's just a pale ale, and it's from Town Brewery out of Whitby, which is pretty close to Toronto. 5% can is just kind of a pastel art drawing
it's nice.
of clouds. Yeah.
Yeah. I like it's very, it looks like a piece from a museum on a...
That's right, yeah. I liked the simplicity of the can, and then it had kind of a joke for the name, so
yeah,
I had to go for it.
always good.
Yeah. What did you bring?
I brought a classic. For those of you in Toronto, you know this very well. This is Beau's Lug Tread. It's a lagered ale, 5.2%, and it has a picture of a tractor on it, and it tastes like beer. Yeah. It's good. I mainly picked it because we're going to be talking about the championship this weekend, and it's a really good beer to drink while watching the championship all day, Saturday and Sunday. This thing is a classic, just session, drink it all day, and you'll probably be okay.
I have done that, so I can confirm that it's a good beer.
It's a good session beer.
Yeah.
But in Magic news, we have our Friday Night Magic is Mastermind again this Friday. That's the one where you get a deck that they give you that's all colors with no lands, and you discard a card to get a land token. So that'll be fun. We also have the Secret Lair Bob Ross basic lands are on Arena now.
Yeah, really cool. So you can get these with codes that you can find online. So there's one for each color, I think.
Yeah.
And you could just find the corresponding code.
We did post these on our story earlier in the week. If you saw them, good to you. If you didn't see them, follow us on Instagram at Arena Regulars because we will tell you things like this.
Exactly.
But otherwise, you can just Google it and you'll find it perfectly fine. And like I said before, we have the Zendikar Rising Championship this weekend, December 4th and 5th. I think that's correct. Yeah, that's correct.
Yep. Yeah. Quick math check.
Quick math. Yep, that's right. Anyway, how did your weekend Arena go?
Went okay, actually. So I've been playing a lot of Historic, which I'll get into in a little bit. But kind of a mad dash for Mythic at the end of the season, and I managed to squeak in there. So
nice.
How'd your Arena week go?
It was fine. I kind of opted out of pushing for Mythic. I know it was what I was planning on doing. But it just wasn't in the cards. Wasn't feeling it. Just couldn't get there. So I did the draft challenge instead. Cool. Had some fun with that. Not super great, but I did go 3-2. So at least I had a winning record. Yeah. And got some packs and some gold. So
yeah, I was on the fence about the draft challenge. I wanted to support it because I like the idea of them bringing sort of high stakes draft events. But I just don't love Kaladesh draft that much.
Well, I actually
personally
drafted your salivating gremlins deck.
Oh, nice. Yeah. The one deck I've been managed to do well with.
Yeah, and I had a bunch of any card that came in with another artifact or something was pretty great. It ended up working out, and I had Untethered Express just blast through somebody in game 3, where it was like close contention. And game 3, I just like turn 4 the Express, Untethered Express.
Yeah.
Turn 5 the enchantment that makes it a creature with a +3 and then just smash their face. And it was pretty brutal, but it felt really good. So
Yeah, I remember in original Kaladesh, there was some vehicle that was like a 7-11 or something.
yeah, they cruise for.
But it had a high crew cost and not a high mana cost. But you would combo it with that enchantment that turns it into a creature.
Because it costs. I think it costs 1.
Yeah.
And then the crew cost is pretty high. But
You just have this 10 power attacker on turn 3.
and they're like, what?
For some reason, they didn't include
With
that in the
first strike?
remastered version. But...
Yeah, that might have been why. But we'll get into the start of the season. Where'd you end up?
Yeah, so I finished the season Platinum 3 in Limited. And as I mentioned, I managed to squeak into Constructed kind of... I think I had 20 hours left in the season or something like that. So Mythic Constructed, Platinum 3 in Limited.
Nice.
As far as goals, my goal for the season was to qualify for the Mythic Qualifier weekend.
Yep.
And I actually was able to do that. I got a bit lucky, spiked a tournament in the first weekend of the season.
Yeah.
And that meant I was qualified basically no matter how well I did in ranked play and stuff.
Yeah.
So that was really nice, just get to kind of play whatever I actually wanted to play.
And feel relaxed.
Yeah.
And
And
then
they
you just-
let me play on the podcast account a lot.
Yeah, and then you just decide that you're going to just run for Mythic at the end.
Then I
and-
squeezed into Mythic anyways, yeah.
It's fine. It's fine. Yeah, I just, because you had finished yours so quickly, and I just felt like you had accomplished so much, and now we're connected with this podcast that I accomplished so much. So then I just felt like, you know what? Nah, I don't need to accomplish
That's
anything.
fair, man. Yeah.
I'll just ride your coattails. So I finished Platinum 3 in Limited and Diamond 3 in Constructed. Not exactly what I wanted, but, it was fine. I had a good run into Diamond 1 and then got knocked back. I think I had mentioned that earlier. So after that, I was like, meh.
Just one of those nights where you grab a few beers and decide to play some ranked.
Yeah, that was. I think it was,
Tank down to this.
yeah,
as far as
maybe
you
more
can
than a
go.
few beers. It was a good night. It was one of those like 2 a.m. nights where I'm like, am I still playing Magic? That happens, and then
you sign in the next morning. You're like, Diamond 4.
what? And like, man, I must have, because I was, anyway, I think I just was, you know what? Diamond 1, that's fine. I'll just like stop playing the deck I've been playing the whole time and play something else.
The other thing, though, about ranking up in this particular season is like Kaladesh Remastered dropped. So you want to play draft for that to get the cards, and it's a new draft format. And
Yeah.
they have the draft challenge. Like, they were spreading me pretty thin on all the different formats I wanted to play.
Yeah, there was a ton of stuff, and gold was getting kind of thin, knowing that we want to use this gold for a tournament in December. So definitely gets kind of hard to make sure to keep your eye on the prize. But
And Brawl, too. I wanted to make
that's
sure I
right.
played some Brawls.
yeah, there was a ton of stuff that happened this season.
But we also have another account.
We do.
Yeah. So we're the proud owners of the account Arena Regulars Podcast.
Who knew?
Yeah.
that would
You might
be
have
us?
played against us online.
Yeah.
And so how did this account do? This was kind of the first official season for it, right? Because we started it halfway through the October season. We started it for episode 2.
Episode 2, so it was around, I don't really remember.
6 weeks ago, I
Yeah,
guess.
so-
This is episode 8. So
Yeah. Yeah. Whatever you say. Yeah, math. Doctor, tell
Yeah.
me.
So this was the first full season that the account got to play.
Yeah.
How did the account finish?
It finished very well, thanks to you and a little bit of me. So it finished, let's see, Limited was Platinum 2, and then Constructed was Mythic.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, so like I said, because I kind of accomplished my goal, early in the season, I got to play on this account a little more than I probably would have if I was still pushing for that, right?
Yeah, that's true.
But we just kind of wanted to point out this was the first official season for the account, and we made Mythic.
Yeah, and we also want to remind you that this is our free-to-play account.
Yeah, $0 was
We
spent.
didn't even, we said we were going to get the $5 bundle thing, and we didn't.
Yeah, we just never did that.
We never did that. We might still do that. But now that we've gotten so far, it feels like might as well just keep
there's
it free to play. And
like the 5 packs and the 2,500 gold. or
is it
whatever.
really going to be worth it so that we can't say we're free to play anymore?
Right, no, it's not.
No, I think the stamp of free to play Mythic is much better.
Yeah. So just a quick outline. You can go listen to episode 2 for kind of all of our tips on how to start a new account.
Yeah.
But this is hopefully at least some amount of validation that the tips we gave you work.
Yes.
But we played kind of the intro decks up to about 10k gold. Then once we had 10k gold, that's enough to draft.
Yes.
That's a Zendikar premium draft. So we drafted. We were kind of lucky enough to have a few 7-win runs in a row, so that every time you 7-win run, you get 2,200 gems, and it only costs 1,500 gems to start another draft.
Exactly. I do want to point out that this was Jeff saying, "Hey, I'm going to draft with the account," and I was like, "You better get 7 wins."
Yeah.
And then he came back with, "Did it?" Yeah. It's just like, "Oh, it's done."
I did it 3 times.
3 times in a row. I was like, "Okay, well, never mind then." Great.
So that's not necessarily the norm, right? Anything can happen in a draft.
Yeah.
We got lucky the first few drafts were 7 wins, so we built up gems that we could almost draft kind of indefinitely for a while there. I know I did a lot of drafts.
Yeah.
But that really built up our collection. We just have a great Zendikar Rising collection on the account now.
Yeah. And you got all the pathways very early on.
Yeah, because like we mentioned in episode 2, we rare draft here. That's what we do.
Yeah, exactly. Especially if you're trying to make a deck and like knowing, hey, I need, like, if I'm playing standard, I need the pathways to play standard.
Yeah.
Get them.
I think there was that one draft where I took 6 pathways and still got a 7-win run. So it was like, this was a real money draft
this is the
here.
best thing ever. Like,
yeah,
that's just like 6 wild cards and then a bunch of gems. Basically.
Exactly. Yeah, it was great.
So yeah, don't feel bad about it. I didn't even take our advice in the draft challenge, and I wish I did. Yeah. I passed up. Well, no. Okay, so I passed up a fast land that I needed the 4th copy of, Concealed Courtyard, for something I can't even remember what it was. But I didn't have any Botanical Sanctums, the blue-green one.
Yeah.
But that pack also had a Ridgescale Tusker and Untethered Express.
Okay.
And so I was like, that one was hard. The other one I could have easily taken and it would have been fine, but I did take the Untethered Express instead and didn't draft any fast lands. And honestly, finished the draft and been like, you know what? I wish I did.
Yeah. Could have 2 fast lands.
Could have had 2 fast lands and still probably go 3-2.
Probably the same record.
Yep.
But that's what we did.
Yep.
And I didn't pass any pathways, and we didn't pass any basically staples.
Yeah.
So even cards that aren't necessarily played, cards that probably will get played at some point. So Lotus Cobras, we have a play set. Skyclave Apparition, all the cards that kind of show up. So we got this really healthy Zendikar Rising collection. We built a few decks out of that. I think I had some green-white landfall monstrosity.
That was pretty cool. I liked that.
It was like green-white cards we have.
Yeah. It seemed pretty fun.
Yeah, but because we had Lotus Cobras and Skyclave Apparitions and Kazandu Mammoths, it actually wasn't that bad.
Yeah.
Because we had a play set of Yasharns, and it was a real deck.
Which, just remember, Yasharn is just a lot better than we originally were thinking.
Yeah, I like it a lot, especially in Historic.
Yeah.
And best of one, I built like a budget Rogues deck because we had Zareth Sands, and Rogues is mostly Zendikar Rising cards.
Yeah, basically.
And then a few uncommons from other sets.
Yeah, and you just have the rare playset of M21.
Yeah, and that's what my budget list meant, was I wasn't playing that card. So
yeah,
and I still did okay with this deck. These were decks we built without spending any wild cards. So just from our collection.
Just from the collection.
Drafted.
All right, gotcha.
Then eventually we decided, hey, let's just build Rogues.
Yeah.
Like a fully powered Rogues deck. I know what you're thinking. You hate Rogues. Everyone seems to hate Rogues.
This is interesting because I haven't had the same kind of rogue hate that you have experienced.
Yeah.
Because you were playing this deck so much. I played it a few times and I didn't get to get in the account as much just because my account needed so much help. But it is interesting to hear you just talk about how much people don't like rogues or rogue decks, or just like concede to a Ruin Crab on turn 1. Like,
I think if I'm not mistaken, most of the matches you played were in Diamond.
I was playing in Diamond, yeah.
So I played it from Silver, all the way up to Mythic, and in the lower tiers, people really gave you like some really rude
just snap
stickers. Just conceding.
Which is which is pretty funny because like on the one hand, they concede. So, okay, you win the game or the match, if that isn't how intense it goes. But on the other hand, you can't complete any of your quests because you can't play any cards.
That was the funny part. It's like, man, I have a quest to play 20 blue or black spells, and I'm playing a blue-black deck, and I just played 5 matches, and I'm still not there.
That's insane. That's so ridiculous.
Because last match I played 1. I went Ruin Crab, and they conceded
And
the
you're like,
match.
Come on. Anyway, so that's our little. That is very interesting to hear about. I feel like I see it a little bit on Instagram, but not as much as you have experienced firsthand.
Right. But anyways, we picked rogues because it's budget.
Yeah.
It's almost all uncommons.
Yeah, we were talking about that last episode a little bit.
Yeah.
So.
And again, the one drop, like you mentioned, Thieves Guild Enforcers, the only rares you really need to spend.
Yeah.
So that's the reason we picked it, not because we're, the scourge of the earth who love milling people and flash cards.
I mean, to be fair, milling people and flashing stuff is fun.
Yeah. For one of us.
If you don't like it, try it.
Yeah, exactly.
Because you might have a different opinion once you've done it a couple times. You're like, okay, maybe.
And it's actually a pretty tough deck to play.
It is. And that might be a reason why people don't like it because it's hard and they feel like it's cheap, but they don't see the decision points or the. Anyway, all of this can be fixed if you just watch the championship weekend.
There you go.
You'll feel a lot better about it.
But yeah, we played that, and I actually played it pretty cleanly into Diamond, and then I started stalling a bit in Diamond, and Zach helped me get over that hump. I
just wanted to give him a little nudge because I know that sometimes it can be hard to go from Diamond to Mythic, so you need a little push, and I'm the one that's there to help you push.
Yeah, I logged back in, and it was at Diamond 1 with like 2.
Yeah, I think you needed. You had 2 pips left before you got there.
Yeah, I needed to win 2 matches, I think, or maybe just 1. But
I can't remember actually.
But I was able to win that match that I needed, and finally get into Mythic. So again, this isn't the expectation that in your first season you should be able to get Mythic or you're doing something wrong. That's not what we're saying.
Yeah.
But the method of drafting to build a collection, in particular looking towards rare drafting, is an effective way to build a collection.
And I do want to say there are a lot of things online that you can read that say, yes, drafting to get your collection is a good idea, but also we suggest you also play the games. There are a lot of people that don't want to play the games. That's perfectly fine. If you don't want to do that and you're just like really not into it, I still think drafting is a good way to get a collection, but playing the games will help you slowly get better and also get return on your investment and to be able to do it again to get more.
Yeah, that's the main way you do it.
Exactly.
Is you win a free draft or a free draft and a half by having a good draft.
Yeah, there's just a lot of people that say, do you open packs or draft packs if you're not going to play limited at all?
Right.
And they have that kind of discussion. And I just think that, number one, you should play limited because it's super fun. If you don't like it, it will get super fun. I don't know.
You'll learn to like it, I think. I just think you either, for Arena, the way it's set up, you either learn to love draft or you learn to love not being free to play.
That's true. Yeah, that is very true. And I have learned to love both.
Yes.
Being love draft and not free to play. So
yeah, that was kind of our season sum up here.
Yeah.
We have a new season to look forward to, though, right?
We do. So we have our December season. They don't really say it specifically in months like that, but they kind of... Oh, no, they do.
I think they do explicitly.
That's actually... I'm going to... So they say it in explicit months like that because it makes sense.
That's a good observation, Zach.
But yeah, so this one will be interesting. I was interested because on Sunday night, it flipped over Monday in the middle of the day for us. It was later than I thought. But I was playing standard, best of one standard, just to be like, screw it. Like, it doesn't matter. I'm not going to get Mythic. And I was playing just some random deck that I had found. And people were playing these bizarre decks. It just seemed like the people who got Mythic got there. And actually, no. To be fair, I'm one of the people that was probably playing a bizarre deck. So, I was playing against a bunch of people that were like me. Where it's like, hey, end of the season, there's no chance of getting Mythic. All the Mythic players have stopped because they got where they wanted to be and they're waiting so they don't go down. Yeah. I mean, they're not going to lose Mythic, but they want to keep their number. And I was just playing a bunch of like best of one Diamond players that were playing just bizarre, weird brews that I'd never seen before or had no idea what they were doing. And it was just like, what's going on? It was really interesting. It actually made me wish that I had sat down and been like, I'm going to push to Mythic today, because if I'm playing against these decks the whole time, it'll be a lot easier.
But that's one of the interesting things, though, right? So I think the highest level of competition on the ladder is the top 1,200 Mythic.
Yes.
When you're in the top few hundred in Mythic, those spots matter to people, and they're trying to qualify for stuff and stuff like that. But the second highest level of competition, I think, is Diamond. Because once you're in the percentages in Mythic, sure, some of them are kind of trying to rank up, but most of them are like, I just got to Mythic, now I can play whatever I want. Yeah. Right? So they played their Gruul Adventures, they played their Mono Green Foods to get there in Diamond. And once they got there, they're like, now this awesome brew, it's time to just play it. So I think you're playing still against the brew guys.
It was pretty interesting. And yeah, I was expecting more people to be on the push plan, and I didn't see that like at all, which was pretty cool. I mean, I thought that was kind of neat to see that. Well, it's always comforting to see there's more people like me out there in the world. So with that being said, December seems interesting because of the holiday season, and since this is my real first year going into like caring about your tier or whatever into this month, I'm interested to see how the holidays kind of affect how people play, or if people just say, oh, December, I won't get there, that's fine, I'll do it in January.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's certainly a consideration, right? Because I think I'll definitely be able to play. I'll be playing less.
Yeah, there's a lot more social obligations. I will, well, who knows? I'm not going home for Christmas this year, so I'll probably be playing a lot. Maybe this is my year. Maybe I should.
Maybe this is your month.
Maybe this is my month. Maybe I should push for this. That could be a good idea.
Find yourself a good historic deck.
Yeah, I really like the one I have right now. I want to change it up a little bit, but I think I want something new. I want something. I'm excited for this new season to have I want a fresh new deck. I think this weekend's going to help me find the one I want to play.
Nice. Yeah.
So I'm going to watch some of those and like pick one that I really like. And just do something else.
Actually, that is usually my recommendation for getting up to Mythic, is to pick 2 decks that you like, so that when you kind of get burnt out on one, you just switch to the other one.
Yeah, because I was definitely getting burnt out on Ramming Up Red. And when I feel down about that, I would just switch completely to something else that wasn't even like auras.
Just try something totally new.
I would just switch formats in a completely different deck that I have never tested. But that's also like, it's whatever, 12:30 or 1 in the morning.
Play some jank to tank my rank.
Yeah, there you go. I need a shirt that says that.
Yeah. Yeah, so it sounds like your goal for the season is to actually try to get Mythic?
I want Mythic, but I also think I want to play in the Arena Open, and I want to get a winning record.
Perfect.
So those are my I don't know if I'll be able to make day 2.
Okay.
But just have a winning record.
Right. So go like 5-3 or something.
Yeah, something like that. Even if it's not great, that would be a success for me, because I haven't really done those things yet. So I'm taking baby steps.
Yeah. No, that's great.
But what about you? What are your plans?
Yeah, so you mentioned the Arena Open, and as I mentioned earlier, my goal was to qualify for the Mythic Qualifier Weekend, which is in December. It's the weekend after the Arena Open, I think. Yeah. So there are 2 tournaments in this season, and my goal is basically just to do as well as I can in both of those. Day 2 would be great, but like you, I'm not setting that as my expectation. Like, I'll be disappointed if I don't. Yeah. I just want to make sure that I've kind of, because they're both historic. Right. So I kind of want to play some historic, figure out if I can pick the best deck that I can, and just have a good, time in both of those events. Yeah. And hopefully not sleep through any day 2s should I be lucky enough to make them. Yeah, cross your fingers you don't sleep through it. Yeah, maybe we should do some testing. That'd be cool. And find our best. Yeah, I think I have a secret, a historic secret that nobody seems to know. But cool. I think I already told you, but maybe you should share it with me. Bant is good. Oh yeah, Bant is really good. Yeah. Actually, no, that deck looked pretty dope. Yeah. Remember when we were talking about how Yasharn is good? Yeah. This is one of the places where Yasharn is really good. The more times you sit down and think, if you think of Yasharn as like a 4/4 for 4 that draws you 2 lands. Yeah. And then the sacrifice stuff is just an extra. Right. It becomes more relevant than you think, but if you're just like, all right, I have a sweet 4/4 for 4 that draws me 2 cards. That's kind of the baseline, yeah. That's great. But that's a good card. Has incidental upside against so many different that you won't even realize, and your biggest thing, your opponents won't even realize the random things they can't do. My favorite was when the Auras player couldn't sack their dog to give their thing indestructible because I played Yasharn and then played Wrath of God. Felt really weird to play a creature and then play Wrath of God, but I had to. So.
Yeah. And they should have seen the Yasharn and been like...
They should have sacked in response to the Yasharn, but then I could play like Teferi or something.
That's true. You could play something else.
I'm not going to commit the Wrath of God after they do that.
Exactly. You're like, going for it.
Yeah,
anyway.
I'm still going to do it. Just kill my own pig.
Well, why not? But yeah, with that, I need a new beer. I blasted through that because that is an easy session beer. Yeah. You could drink that all day, son.
Although you keep calling it session, but it's like 5.2%.
That's what I mean, what's the session technically?
When I think of session, I usually think it's like a light beer essentially in the
Less than
4% range.
Okay, I usually think like 5% is like, I could drink that all day.
But to be fair, it's more of like a feeling.
I think it's a feeling and a taste. Mm-hmm. There's IPAs that I just can't drink a ton of.
Yeah.
Or it takes a long time.
Even if they are technically session IPAs, like 4.5%.
It's just like, I need something refreshing.
Yeah.
That's how I'm feeling.
Well, I could use another beer too, so.
Let's do it up. All right. Got this outside jokes.
Yeah, and lug tread, which I've had a million times before.
Well,
this is all over Ottawa because it's made like right outside Ottawa.
That makes sense. And you're from Ottawa, correct?
Yes.
Yeah. So that would be helpful.
Used to live there.
Yeah. This smells great. But you've never had a lug tread after you've had an outside jokes.
So. That's true. That's correct.
So it could be much different. You never know. All right. Cheers.
Tastes like lug tread.
Tastes good. Like a pale ale.
Yeah, that's pretty good, right?
Yeah. It's a pretty good one.
All right. So now we have the thing I'm very excited for.
Yes.
Zendikar Rising Championship is coming up this weekend, and we do a fantasy draft.
We are doing a fantasy draft again. I'm so just stoked for this.
Yeah, so if you don't know exactly how the MPL and Rivals Leagues works, nobody blames you. It's like impossible to track down that information.
Super confusing. Yeah.
But I give a complete description of it in episode 3 of the Arena Regulars podcast. So you can go check that out.
Yep.
But as a quick reminder, basically it's split into 3, splits. And they're named after the sets. So Zendikar Rising, Kaldheim, and Strixhaven. Mm-hmm. And right now we're coming to the end of the first split, the Zendikar Rising split. It ends in the Zendikar Rising Championship. So this is a tournament that includes that basically anyone who qualified for it can play in it. So it's going to include all the MPL and Rivals members. They qualify automatically, but it also includes other players.
Challengers.
Challengers is what they're called. So in previous league weekends, MPL players play against other MPL players, Rivals players play against other Rivals players. Not the case anymore. Mm-hmm. Now it's one big tournament. MPL players will play against Rivals players and Challengers.
Exactly. And also the MPL players and the Rival players, their standings and their points and all that kind of stuff. Right now they're starting at 0 for this tournament, and everyone's on the same footing going into it. So if you did really well before, cool. I mean, that will help you in the future. But for this specific tournament, everyone's on the same footing when we start on Saturday.
Right. But how well they do in this tournament does get them points in their league.
It does.
And it's a weird system, but basically if they get 9 wins in the tournament, they get 1 point in the league. Mm-hmm. 10 wins in the tournament gets them 2 points in the league. 11 wins gets them 3 points in the league. And 12 wins guarantees them a spot in the top 8, which gets them 4 points for the league.
Yeah.
So because in the league weekends they get 1 win per match win, they're competing for way fewer points than...
Or 1 point per match win.
Yeah, sorry, 1 point per match win. Ray Sato got 11 points in the first league weekend. Now they're competing for 4 is the most they can get by top 8ing. But hey, every point counts. So they're still incentivized to do as well as they can, even if they've been eliminated from top 8, I think is the idea.
Yeah.
So what are we doing today?
So today we are drafting our players for our individual me and Jeff do a fantasy team, or a league, sorry. So we both draft our own team. It consists of 3 MPL players, 3 Rivals players, and then we also pick what we think the meta percentage for Standard and Historic will be, because they are playing Standard and Historic. Mm-hmm. And then we are also picking the top performing deck for Standard and Historic as well. Basically how it works is that we get 1 point if the player wins a match. right?
So even though there's this kind of weird point system for the leagues, we thought it'd just be more fun to keep going with the one match win gets us 1 fantasy point.
Makes it a little bit easier just to so the numbers aren't fluctuating so incredibly.
So there's going to be 15 rounds.
Yes,
So-
there are 8 standard and 7 historic over 2 days.
And then the top 8 is historic.
All historic.
Yeah. So we decided, though, it'd be also more fun if, let's say, our player makes the top 8 or wins the whole event. We should get extra points
Exactly.
for that, too. So
Yeah.
we decided 2 points for top 8 and then another 2 points on top of that for winning everything.
Yes.
In addition to the match wins you might get in the top 8.
Exactly. So if your player does not make it to day 2, that's rough, and you get whatever they got for
very
that
few
one day,
points,
and that's it. But if they make it to day 2, then you get all the points for that, and then if they the longer that they play, the more chance they have to get more points, and the better it'll be.
Yeah.
That's basically it. They're also playing for $250,000 for the whole tournament. It's split up. First place gets $15,000, and it goes down from there.
Yeah. Right. So the players are playing for money as well.
Yes. So the money is also on the line this weekend. Is there anything else we want to talk about the tournament before we just start drafting?
Oh, I think
No?
I think we're ready to start this off.
All right. I do have our toonie,
Oh, perfect.
so I'm ready for it. Would you like to do the honors, or should I?
I think you can flip and I'll call.
Okay, that sounds good. All right, here we go.
Tails.
It's heads.
Tails never fails, though.
Yeah, I think you said that last time, and it definitely failed.
It's failed me 100% of the time.
Can I defer?
That's
We haven't
I'm gonna,
talked about
I'm gonna
this.
say yes. Yeah, you
Um,
can defer if you want.
Let me look over my
Like if
picks
you
really
want
quickly.
first rivals pick. So the way
Yeah.
it works is, if I go first and I get first pick of my 3 MPL members, we'll draft MPL 1st.
Mm-hmm.
Then we'll draft rivals, and whoever didn't pick first in MPL picks first in rivals.
Yeah, so we just go back and forth. But this is really hard. I'm gonna defer.
You're gonna defer.
I'm gonna defer.
Okay. So that means I will be selecting first
Mm-hmm.
for the MPL.
MPL.
The first selection
Okay.
for Team Dr. Jeff is a player who's made the Hall of Fame,
Okay.
and their results since making the Hall of Fame constitute another Hall of Fame worthy career. That is how good this player is. They have 24 Grand Prix top 8s and 15 top finishes. So that's like top 8s of World Championships and Pro Tours. I'm talking, of course, about Paulo Vitor Demo de Rosa.
Yep.
That would be my first selection.
Go right ahead. That's fine. I'm okay with that. With the second pick of our Zendikar Championship draft, the first player on Team Zach, with 7 GP top 8s, 10 top finishes, 2 Pro Tour titles. This is a Hall of Famer and the 2004 Player of the Year from France, Gabriel Nassif.
That's a good choice.
All right, what are you thinking?
Okay, my next selection. This is a player who has won a Pro Tour.
Mm-hmm.
They have won a World Championship. They've won a Grand Prix trophy. They're in the Hall of Fame. I'm not even sure there's anything left. Mythic Championship, Mythic Invitational, right? I'm not even sure there's anything left for this player to win. I'm going to select Seth Manfield.
Ooh, okay. All right, all right. This player, you won't be very surprised by this one, but this is the 2-time England national champion
I know
and
who
the
it is.
winner of the first Mythic Championship ever from England, Autumn Burchett, is coming on to my team. Perfect.
Good choice, good choice.
All right. What's your last MPO player?
Okay, so I just have a good feeling. I have a good feeling here. I'm going to select the winner of the Mythic Invitational, 2019 Invitational. Our champion from Italy. I will select Andrea Mengucci.
Okay. Wow. I was thinking about Andrea Mengucci. This last one's hard. I have some really good players up here. Did some great research thinking about them. But I have to go with my gut, and my gut tells me I need to give this person a chance. So, with 19 GP top 8s, a 3-time GP winner, and the 2010 Player of the Year from the US of A, Brad Nelson, get back on my team. I'm sorry about before, but I hope this makes up for it. I'm taking you again. I just had to. I knew I had to.
Yeah. I mean, he's a great player.
He's a really good player, and I just still feel bad about it.
What I love about this draft, though, I just don't think there are any wrong picks. Like,
Really?
all of these players are so good.
I know. I'm still super excited about mine, but I see yours, and I'm like, well, those are all players I want on my team as well.
Yeah, how you feeling about your lineup so far, the MPL?
I'm feeling all right. I'm feeling good.
Were there any players I picked that were on your list?
Actually, no.
Yeah.
I didn't have PVD DDR.
Yeah, sorry, I wrote DRR.
I got confused.
Notes.
I was like, I'm pretty sure it's PVD.
Incorrect.
DDR. Yeah. I didn't have actually any of these players. I had thought about all of them, but chose against them. What? Who else were you thinking about picking?
I was considering Gabriel Nassif for sure. It's hard to argue with a player of his caliber. And then I don't think you really stole any of my picks other than that. So
I feel like last time I was so focused on upsetting you
right
that my team ended up not shaping up the way exactly how I wanted.
And I had to give consideration to Ken Yukihiro, who did so well for me last time.
So I almost put Ken Yukihiro on just to upset you, but I decided against it.
So the thing about Ken is that, for those who don't know, Ken always brings like a wild deck choice. You know, it sounds weird now because mono green food is a part of the metagame, but it was not when he brought it to the league weekend. And I felt like somebody who's kind of a wild card when there's two different formats that you have to attack and bring a sneaky deck to.
Interesting. Okay.
Maybe I'm less confident that he can spike both with kind of an off-the-wall deck.
He'll probably have a good chance of spiking one of them, but miss on the second one.
Right.
That makes sense.
Otherwise, I would have picked Ken. I still hope he does really well, obviously.
Yeah.
Because I just like that when someone brings kind of off meta decks and just consistently does well with them. That's really cool. Yeah, I guess the one thing we forgot to mention, before the draft, is that during the league weekends, I kind of dominated that draft. So
Okay.
forgot to just remind them.
Still going to say you did not dominate it. You beat me by 7 points. That might be different because I actually don't know if Brad's been able to play those other matches yet. So I still have 3 matches out waiting to see if you only won by 4, which is not dominating.
It's 1-0.
Okay, whatever. All right, it's 1-0. I was also looking at Ray Sato and Carlos Romeo.
Yeah.
But
I mean, Ray's leading the league right now.
He is. So
always have to consider him.
I know, and I really wanted to, but I think it's just my heart was telling me that I just had to give Brad another chance, and I just felt so bad. I still feel bad about that. And I should. I mean, I should.
Yeah, he's a good player who does his due diligence.
Yeah, I'm not. It's definitely not just an emotional thing. He's a great player. I also like watching him a lot, so it'll be good. It'll be good watching him this week.
Oh yeah, the interaction with his roommate Brian Braun.
Oh, that was so funny.
So funny.
So I mean, I don't. That won't happen again because this is more intense than the other. The league weekends can be a little bit more fun because this is for money. People will be a little bit more intense, but yeah. Anyway, so are you ready for the rivals?
Shake it
rounds?
out. Shake it out.
All right, so I get the first pick.
You get the first pick.
So Team Zach, that's not a really exciting name, but I'm going to go for it. This player made their Pro Tour debut in 2004 with 10 Pro Tour top 8s, 16 GP top 8s, and a Pro Tour champion and Hall of Famer from the USA, Luis Scott Vargas. You got to take Luis. That's why I deferred. Everyone knows that. I'm not going to pretend like it's not true.
Yeah. Good pick. Good pick.
He's a good pick.
Yeah. He did well for me last time.
He did, and I hope he does well for me this time.
Yeah. All right, so my selection is a player who just had an incredible year in 2019 and an even better year in 2018 when he won Player of the Year in a ridiculously awesome tiebreaker Player of the Year match against Seth Manfield. I am choosing the best LSV, Luis Salvado.
No! That was my next pick! Shoot.
You were just going to be Team LSV.
I was trying
Team
to
Luis.
Oh, I wanted to be Team Luis. You had talked about it last time, and I thought it'd be really fun if I could do it this time. Okay. After their GP Dallas win in 2019 and back-to-back top 8s coming into 2020, this player is running really hot. All right, this is the 2020 season Grand Finals winner from USA, Austin Bursavage.
Good choice. Good choice.
Yes. I feel like I really nailed that fanfare too.
Yeah,
I'm feeling this.
That was great.
I really like this this whole thing we're working on this
I'm
time.
having a great time.
Yeah.
And hopefully our listeners are learning something because I'm learning as I'm like reading.
Yeah, I had to research all this stuff and I was learning. I was going in rabbit holes of all these different players. Oh, I'll talk about it later because we're not finished yet. But all right, go ahead.
Okay, my next choice, a woman of many talents. She's a content creator. She's a caster for Star City Games, streamer, and she wins tournaments. And I happen to know she's on the same team as, and probably creating the deck list that someone from Team Zach will be piloting this weekend. I'm going to choose Emma Handy.
Oh my God. That was my next pick again. Okay. Did you have Austin Bursavage on your list?
Yeah.
Okay, good. Okay. Because I was thinking about jumping to Emma, just because I thought that you might take her. Okay. Oh man, this is hard. I have two that I'm trying to decide between. I have only two left. Okay. All right. Ooh, I don't feel great about it. I don't know. Okay. All right. It's hard because it's the last one. So yeah, might as well. Okay, I'll do this. I'm gonna get out of the U.S. I'm gonna pick a different player. All right. So this player is a rising star that's had some very solid finishes, but not a lot of real completions, real things that we're talking about, and they're hungry for it, right? This person really wants to get that top finish, and they're looking for it. They are from South Korea. No Ma.
Nice.
That is my pick.
I was wondering if you were going to snake me because I think we both know who I really have to pick here and want to.
Okay.
This player is a Hall of Famer. From the USA, he is simply the best limited player in the world and my personal favorite streamer. I'm going to be selecting Ben Stark.
Ben Stark. Yeah, I actually didn't have Ben on my list.
I wondered if you would just do it to snake me,
just
because
to
you
hurt
knew
you.
I would want to pick him.
I knew that you would, but this time I was really trying to focus on something.
And he did pretty well for me last time.
Yeah.
I think 7 wins, something like that.
Yeah. The other person I was trying to decide between was Matt Nass.
Yeah. Oh, Matt Nass, great.
Yeah. He's like the reason KCI was banned, basically. So.
Yeah, I just wonder. Neither format's really defined by a combo deck.
Exactly, and that's what I was thinking. So if you don't know, Matt Nass is a big combo player.
Yeah, probably one of the best combo players in the world.
Like Ben Stark is known for being the best limited player. Well, Matt Nass is known for being one of the best combo players. So knowing that both of the formats don't have a ton of combo decks.
Yeah, in historic, some exist, but I don't think they're that good.
Yeah, so there's some more aggro strategies, just run them over too quickly. So I didn't pick him, but he was definitely on my list, and I'm definitely, looking at him, but I'm feeling pretty good.
I find the Rivals, I find it interesting that we overlapped more on the Rivals League, where there's 48 players, than we did in the
That's
MTL,
so
where
interesting.
there's 24.
Yeah, and I was purposely trying to pick people I hadn't really picked before, or we hadn't picked last round, or
yeah, sure.
I don't know. It's partly because I want to know more about these people, so.
It's interesting. I actually had no Ama on my list as well.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, I think we both kind of snaked 2 players from the other one, or took 2 players that were on the other person's list. But because when I was looking this up, it was just a Reddit thing. I actually thought it was Noah Ma because there's no space.
Oh, no. At least on the on the Wizards website and like all his stuff, it says no Ama.
Yeah, when I'm looking on magic.gg, it's pretty clear. But
So I did see it somewhere else that was as
you
written
saved me from
incorrectly.
embarrassing myself. Yeah.
Yeah, I had seen something that was written incorrectly. I was like, what? But yes, it's definitely no Ama. So, but we are going
That's for the
into.
correction.
Well, also just remember, if you're listening, if this seems like fun, I mean, it is pretty fun.
It's fun. Yeah.
Either grab a buddy and be like, hey, do you want to watch the championship? This weekend, let's do a draft and just like pick some players and some metas and see if we can, beat each other, but also beat
Put your
Jeff and
point
Zach.
totals up against ours.
Yeah, see if you. I already know a couple people have talked to me about it that are going to do this. So
Awesome.
definitely think about it. It's a great way to watch. Also, eventually, I mean, we're probably going to be watching together and having some sort of drinking game. So.
Yeah, maybe we'll post that. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe we'll post that, or sometime you'll see it. So
Yeah.
just keep that in the back of your mind. But it's definitely a good time. So with that, we're going into the meta percentage for standard. What do you think is going to be the biggest like meta deck?
Honestly, for me, this was like the hardest part
This was really hard.
because both formats are. There are like 3 or 4 kind of decks that I consider top decks.
Yeah, I feel like they're kind of blown open quite a bit, and I like don't really know.
And there are a lot of totally respectable tier 2 decks again
Yeah.
in both formats. Like,
It was difficult.
yeah. So maybe I'll go first for standard
Sure,
since
go ahead.
you went first for the rivals
Yeah.
or whatever. Although I don't think it's actually an advantage to go first in this one.
It's definitely a disadvantage.
So standard's in that weird place where I think there are like 4 top decks.
Yeah.
And that would be Teamer, Ramp, Mono Green Food, Gruul Adventures, and then like Blue Black, whether you think Rogues or
Control.
Pure Control is better. I think one of the green decks has got to be the most popular. Gruul's kind of been on the downward slope because Mono Green Food. That's a tough matchup for Gruul, actually.
I definitely agree with that.
So for me, it's between Mono Green Food and Teamer Ramp. I think I'm going to go Mono Green Food as my meta
I
percentage.
also wrote that down.
Okay.
I know it sounds like I
You just sure,
yeah,
whatever,
We're,
Zach.
we're doing mono green food. No, I definitely think playing against it in Gruul, it's so rough, and I just it seems like I'm always on the bad side of things, and Wicked Wolf is just so good. It's another reason why you should play Yasharn actually, because you can stop Wicked Wolf from like screwing
that
with
happened
you.
to me in Historic too. This is incidental hate for you, but suck it.
Exactly. So, it's a really good deck. I really didn't think that it was going to be, but it turned out every time I've matched up against it, I've not been happy.
Honestly, though, when I saw Feasting Troll King, I was like, I hope this card is good. Because a format where this card is good is fun.
Exactly. And it definitely is. And you're like, what the hell am I? And Gruul has a really hard time dealing with that card as well. So,
Yeah.
because there aren't very many ways you can get rid of it. And then it just comes back. So, what are you going to do? With the top performance of decks,
So this is just kind of overall win rate.
overall win rate, I think I'll start with this one, I guess.
Sure.
So to me, I really feel like Mono Green Food and like a Teamer deck are closer to the top, and the other ones don't feel like they get. Sometimes you can go under Teamer Ramp or Teamer. It turning into like a Teamer Adventures kind of deck, where
It's kind of a halfway split, right?
Yeah,
It's
we're-
half ramp, half adventure.
exactly. So sometimes they'll start with like a Love Struck Beast or like a they'll stomp your things, but then to play Cultivate, and you're just
Right.
like it's kind of halfway in between. So I'm really calling it Teamer Adventures. But I think that deck has more staying power. It can survive the early game, and it really beats down on the late game, especially if you can't do anything about the ultimatum. So I think that's what I'm going to pick. I think that it will be able to, like, if Mono Green Food's going to be the deck that's being played the most, I think it has a big strength against Mono Green Food. And it has some good sideboard cards. So
That makes sense.
I'm gonna
I think
keep-
Teamer Ramp stomps Mono Green Food, actually.
yeah, Teamer. I'm going to call it Teamer Adventures because that's basically what it is.
Yeah.
Is what I'm talking about.
It's kind of half and half.
It's
right?
half and
So
half.
Both deck names make sense.
Yeah,
Makes sense
it's
equally,
ramping
yeah.
adventures. So
often Obosh is the
and Obosh will be the
companion.
The companion.
The adventure cards kind of cheat that with Brazen Borrower and
Exactly.
Bone
Yeah,
Crusher
if you have
Giant.
Brazen Borrow and then you have Lovestruck Beast, and even like Bone Crusher Giant, they all just hit for so much if you have Obosh on the table. So
yeah, but it also gives you 2 mana plays, the
That's true.
Bone Crusher and the it's kind of cheating.
exactly, and a 1 mana play with Lovestruck Beast. It's it just is it's a good deck. I've played it a few times and it's pretty fun. So
yeah, so I'm actually gonna take a bit of a flyer here. I'm gonna take a bit of a risky pick.
Oh.
You gotta risk it for the biscuit, right?
Mono Blue Ruin Crab.
No, I'm not gonna like be make some ridiculous guess where nobody even brings the deck that I pick.
Get out of here. He's referring to me saying Rakdos mid-range would make it last time and nobody
played it.
Nobody played it.
Yeah, I would never do that. I'm actually going to pick Dimir Rogues because I think it's a powerful deck that people are forgetting about. They're not giving it the respect it deserves in their sideboards and stuff.
I think this is just because you've been playing Dimir Rogue so much.
Yeah, but also from playing all that Dimir Rogues, I never lose to Mono Green Food or to Team Ramp.
Okay.
So if we think those are the best 2 decks...
Well, that's true. So you do have the best... I think you have the best matchup against Teamer Adventures for sure. Because you have all the counter spells.
Yeah, counter spells against
if you're
Genesis
playing,
Ultimatum.
Yeah, if you're getting rid of Genesis Ultimatum or you're playing... what's the blue counter spell that cares about blue cards?
Mystical Dispute.
Mystical Dispute. So that's the card that really hoses it.
But also, I mean... Even just siding in Lulmage's domination is pretty good against them. Like stealing, any of their gigantic creatures.
Yeah, or if you're playing Mono Green Food, stealing a Troll King. Well, that'd be...
Actually, stealing a Troll King really hoses them.
Really hoses them, but that takes...
It's why they're starting to play more Witch's Oven to sack it in response. Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah.
But I think people have forgotten that Dimir Rogues is a good deck. They're not really preparing for it as much as they're preparing for the other...
The lower tiers are prepared for it. They're prepared to concede immediately.
Right, yeah.
But the top tiers are like, I don't really know. Who's playing that?
And I think it's just a deck that lends itself that only really confident players would bring it, I think. People that are confident in the deck list because it's not one of the most popular 4.
So do you think Reed Duke is going to bring that in that team? That's like Reed Duke, LSV, William Huey Jensen. They're all kind of like...
I'm not even sure they're all going to be on the same thing, but I would guess no. Like when you're one of the best players, you just kind of want to bring the best deck because you're now the best player with the best deck.
That's true.
It's going to be hard to beat you.
Okay.
But I would guess they're not bringing it. But the only people who will bring it is someone who's played a lot with it and is very competent in their matchups. So it'll have a lower kind of metagame percentage, but therefore a decent win rate if I expect those players to be confident.
But let's go into the historic meta percentage. What are we thinking? You start, because I did the last one.
So again, in historic, I think the best historic deck is whatever Uro deck is the best. But I don't think people know what Uro deck is the best. Is Sultai better or is 4-color better?
Okay.
So that might split the percentage. And I think the only one that could compete with an Uro deck is going to be Jund Sack. So
this is so funny. This is exactly what I was like.
Those are my choices.
All of that stuff is what I was thinking, but Jund Sack and Sultai midrange are exactly what I was trying to decide between.
So my choice is I think that if you combined 4-color and Sultai, that would be the highest metagame percentage.
Yeah.
But because there's going to be a split, people aren't sure which of those decks is actually better. It might be Jund Sack. I'm just going to say Sultai. I'm going to say Sultai.
All right, I'm going Jund Sack for sure.
Okay.
Straight up.
Yeah, I think that makes sense. I think those are basically the only 3 choices for meta game percentage.
It really feels like it. I love Aura so much. Yeah. And there's 2 Aura decks right now. There's the Azorius one and the Orzhov one. Both interesting. I play Azorius just because I haven't really played the Orzhov one, but I might throw it together just to see how I like it. But man, those decks get hosed by like 2 cards, and it's Thoughtseize and either Fatal Push or Extinction Event. Right. And
Extinction Event's rough.
Extinction Event is the card you literally can't do anything about besides prepping for it.
Spell Pierce or something.
So you can sideboard in Spell Pierce. That's one thing you could try, or you can put you can waste auras on a dog or something. So you have a 1 mana and a 2 mana thing.
Right.
That will make the extinction event only kill one thing that you care about.
They're always picking even to
Yeah.
get rid of your card draw.
Basically just getting even every time. So it is hard, and I think auras is a top deck, and we might see a good percentage more than we have in the past.
Yeah.
But having the really good black decks like Thoughtseize just hose you. Turn 1, if they Thoughtseize the card that you, like the only creature in your hand and is all auras, you're so screwed. Like it gets really hard at that point.
Now, what do you think about goblins? Because that's always kind of a wild card. Like,
So I think goblins is pretty interesting because as an auras player, I feel good against the goblin matchup because Hushbringer is so good against it.
Yeah.
But when you're playing these Sultai games or these Jund games, you can't do that. So they can get run over pretty quickly, and the Jund sack plan doesn't do a great job, I think, against goblins. Ugh. It can. The Jund sack deck is really good at killing, making you sacrifice your creatures. It's a great way of how they get around, just like getting rid of your board. But if you have goblins, like you have so many stupid tokens and stuff, you can get rid of it. Doesn't
Muxus still kind of just beats you, right?
Every time.
There's not a lot you can do about it.
Yeah, and you won't be able to do enough stuff. Like you can't hit it with Fatal Push or any of these new cards that you've had. So Goblins was one that I was thinking about as a top performance, just because a lot of people thought it was going to be like it was a huge meta percentage going into the Mythic Invitational, and then it didn't do very well. I think because a lot of people were just playing decks that would beat goblins.
Right.
But now people kind of forget about it. I think it's the same thing you were talking about with Dimir Rogues, where people kind of forgot about mono red goblins, and it might come. It might come back.
But I think people will just still have so much incidental hate for it. Like
think so,
Yasharn actually kind of shuts them down, even though it's not necessarily there for goblins.
But it does. So Yasharn shuts down Skirk Prospector.
Yeah.
And it shuts down the that one goblin that costs two
Wily
red.
Goblin.
No, yes, Wily Goblin that makes the treasure token.
Yeah, you can't sacrifice a treasure token.
Because usually you want to go turn 1 Skirk Prospector, turn 2 Wily Goblin into the treasure token, and then you can sack all that, and turn 3 play Muxus and hope you get haste. But
right, it basically shuts off fast Muxus because it also shuts off Phyrexian Tower, which a lot of them are playing just to.
That's
turbo
true.
out
I
Muxus.
forgot about Phyrexian Tower.
And then it's just a 4/4, and a lot of their stuff can't attack through it. So
Exactly.
It's
So
actually surprisingly good against goblins.
So we'll see. I mean, who knows? But what's your top performance for Historic? What do you think?
So interestingly enough, I think Sultai is my choice for top meta, and then I'm just gonna pick 4 colors my top performance.
Anything that can play Uro.
Yeah. I think if you're not playing Uro, you're making a mistake.
I'm gonna put Uro in my Auras deck. I'm just gonna. You know what? Let's add green.
And I actually think Bant is a deck that nobody's really exploring right now that I've had a lot of success with. But I don't think anyone's going to play Bant, so I'm not going to pick it.
No, just pick. No. Someone will do it.
4 color.
Just say the challengers. One of the challengers will do it.
4 color mid range.
When you're saying 4 color mid range, we already talked about the.
It's basically Sultai, and they put in white lands so that they can play Yasharn.
Yeah.
And some white sideboard cards. It's interesting because it actually gives them a slightly worse matchup against Sultai, which I think is going to be the most popular deck, as I mentioned. Because Sultai has the same cards but a better mana base, and Yasharn doesn't really do anything against Sultai.
Yeah.
But still, both both decks have the cards that matter. They both play Uros, they both play Nisses.
Yeah.
And these are the Hydroid Krasis. These are the cards that actually matter in the mirror match. So yeah, Sultai's a little better because it gets to play like Castle Lochthwain. But the games that Castle Lochthwain actually wins are so few and far between, I think, that it's basically a 50-50.
I see that. I'm gonna pick. Actually, I'm picking Sultai mid-range for my top performance, just because I think it has a good matchup against Jund Sack, in my opinion. It just can outvalue a lot of those things, and
depends on the build. You can basically build Sultai to beat whatever you want.
Yeah, and it has some of the best cards. I really think a black deck is one of the best. It's hard to. Black has some of the best cards you can play right now, especially because Kaladesh came out and gave him Fatal Push just to.
Yeah,
It's
and just like as the cherry on top,
Yeah.
Fatal Push is so good with Uro because you play Uro, drop a swamp, and now you have Revolt and you Fatal
and then
Push
it's
whatever you want.
Exactly. Like, what are you going to do? I just say that it's just really good. I think that it's going to beat Junsak, and that's how it
got to
is.
be the best Fatal Push deck. So.
I think,
and the best Thoughtseize deck.
yeah, those are the two best cards in Historic, basically, right? Arguably,
It's just a question of whether or not it's the best Uro deck, which is the best card in Historic.
That's true. Uro is absolutely fantastic and so bonkers. So that's kind of what we have decided for our draft. I think that looks pretty good.
Yeah.
I'm feeling great. I'm excited to watch it this weekend. I've also found out that there's a thing called multi-twitch. If you know about that, multitwitch.com. Yeah. So
you can like watch multiple Twitch streams.
Basically, yeah. So remember last time when we were kind of complaining, like, hey, I wish that we could watch this matchup because of whatever wasn't on the feature match because we couldn't.
Right.
Blah, blah, blah,
during
blah,
the
blah.
weekends.
If there's something a match that you want to watch that's not featured, just go to Twitch, multi-Twitch, and watch both of the streams at the same time. Hopefully they're synced up. I haven't tried it yet, but I'm going to. And you can kind of make your own little feature match.
That sounds cool.
Sounds great. So I'll try that out, and I'll tell you if it's good or not. And you should try it out too, and tell me if it's good or not.
Yeah, maybe we'll multi-Twitch together somehow.
Oh, whoa, that sounds very sexual. I'm like very into it.
Oh yeah.
Hey, do you want to multi-Twitch on the couch? Yeah. But anyway, with that, I think I need another beer.
Me too.
All right, so we are going to a beer break.
Oof, that draft was a lot of fun.
That was great.
Yeah. So, what do you think? Is it going to be? I mean, obviously, you think it's going to be 1-1 after this. But,
Yeah.
I'm feeling the 2-0.
Yeah, okay. So just so everyone remembers, we are doing this so that each week or each event,
each split has 3 or 4 events.
Yeah, so whoever wins that gets 1 point for our league.
Right.
So right now Jeff has won the last one, so it's 1-0 basically, and I have no points.
Yeah, we're not gonna like add whatever point totals we get this weekend to whatever we got last time.
Exactly.
It's just 1-0 now, and if Zach wins this one, then it's
so
1-1.
When I win this one, it'll be 1-1.
You know, strong if. But,
and then we are betting that at the end we are going to have a weird 2-4. So the loser buys the winner a weird 2-4. And so, Jeff, what's a 2-4 again?
2-4 is a case of beer, 24 beers.
Yes, that's a Canadian term. If you aren't from Canada, I'm not. So I had to learn that. But it's just like 24 weird random beers.
A curated case of beer, essentially.
I kind of want to just lose so I get to pick all the beers.
That's the thing, right? Like, losing's not that bad because you get to...
I mean, you have to buy all the beers, but... Right. I'm probably drinking them with you, and they're going to be weird.
And it's going to be fun to kind of pick beers that will, like, throw... You know, when you lose, that you get to pick beers that'll throw me off.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But yeah, with that, we got some beers that we chose for tonight.
Yes.
So I think we should rate them first, and then say which beer we picked.
Fair, yeah.
Okay, that works.
So what did you think of the one that I brought, the Town Brewery, the Pale Ale?
Outside Jokes?
Outside Jokes.
I think Outside Jokes is a hilarious joke.
Yeah.
And it's really solid. Good pale ale. Usually pale ale is not... I mean, IPAs are usually not my favorite. I do like pale ales quite a bit more. Just because they don't, like, hop me out. I don't know if that's a term, but, like, where it's just way too much hops, and I'm like, this is so dry. They can be really refreshing and nice and hazy and juicy.
Yeah, Outside Jokes had that flavor for sure, but it certainly doesn't look like a pale ale. Like, if you remember, when you pour it, it would just, like, cloudy kind of, you can't see through it at all. It's not
totally.
Pale.
I mean, I feel like most pale ales look like this to me. I guess maybe I don't have a huge I just said that I had a big distinction between pale ales and IPAs, but maybe I actually don't.
I think of, like, a just stock pale ale as something it's not that cloudy. You can kind of see through it. It's
interesting.
like a golden...
Okay. I guess most of the time, if I hear pale or anything, I think it's going to be probably hazy.
Yeah.
When it comes to me,
I think of, like, New England IPAs that have that hazy.
That makes sense. For the most part, I feel like anytime it says IPA, I'm just expecting who knows.
Right.
Right. It's going to be really bitter.
Just the word pale.
Hopefully, it has a lot of alcohol. Is usually what I'm getting it for.
So where would you place this? What tier is the?
I think this is pretty solid.
Outside Jokes.
Now, I don't want to put everything at platinum, but it.
I think I was just gonna crack it into diamond actually.
Okay.
I think it just
all right. I was on the fence too.
Me.
All right, I'll agree with you. It's a diamond. I'll throw it into diamond. It's basically me this whole season where like I'm diamond 4 and I go up and I come back down. I'm like, you know what? It's fine here.
Yeah.
I'll just chill.
Yeah, you know what? I'll just be a diamond 4 and just know that I can never regress.
It's a good feeling. It's a safety blanket, right?
It's actually the best place to test new brews because the other diamond players are like trying to get into Mythic.
That's definitely what I'm doing. I'm testing new brews.
Like
I'm not trying to push into Mythic at all. Yeah. No, that's not what I've been doing.
This is the problem with stating goals explicitly at the start of the
exactly.
season.
But no, I think it's really nice. And I think it's a good beer. But Lug Tread. Okay. You've had Lug Tread?
Yeah, Lug Tread is just so stock for me. It's kind of it was one of the first kind of craft beers that was designed as a flagship in order to get people who don't drink craft beer to drink it.
Sure.
So that's how I perceive it, because all over Ottawa the bars add Lug Tread so that people who normally wouldn't drink craft beer can,
totally
feel good about drinking craft beer, but it's not so out there that they will.
Yeah, and there are, there's a large percentage of people that they want their beer to taste a certain way.
Right.
And they're like, this tastes like beer. Also, so this is a weird beer tangent, really quickly. But like we were saying, there's a lot of people that like beer, and when they say beer, they're talking about Budweiser, Coors, or Bud Light, Coors Light.
What they've learned as
Miller,
beer. Right?
Yeah, that's what they know beer is to be. Now, they've had all the different types of brands. You can add Heineken to that. I kind of put that in the same list. All those big brand macro brew beers that everyone knows. And those people specifically like those kinds of beers. And they are not interested in craft brews or different kinds of... It's just so weird.
There's nothing wrong with that.
It doesn't feel like beer to them, which is totally fine, and I'm not going to fault anyone with that. And I would also like to point out that if people say that they don't have a palate at all, I would say that's wrong. They probably have a better palate than me, because they can distinguish between Coors Light and Bud Light, and I could absolutely never do that.
Yeah.
So if a person that knows their beer so well that they can know which one's not it is pretty interesting.
That's why I have to drink these super strong flavor ones, because I can tell the difference between a stout and an IPA.
Yeah,
if you give me two different lagers, even craft lagers,
you're just like, I don't know, like 3 light beers are like they all taste exactly the same to me.
Yeah.
So I just like to point that out quickly, but yeah, I Lug Tread's great. I really like it. It's definitely the drink it all Sunday watching football, or drink it all Saturday Sunday watching the championship for Zendikar. So. Yeah,
for me, it's kind of quintessential platinum.
Yeah. It's a great platinum beer. I agree with you. Pitchers and pitchers is what I think. Like, let's just get a bunch of it. I can drink that all day.
Yep.
It really depends on, if that's your kind of, I'm having a session where I'm going to play a lot and push. Maybe in some of these, the start of the season, we're trying to get back up to diamond or something from gold or whatever.
Or like you said, just perfect to, on a Saturday afternoon, watch the Zendikar Rising Championship.
Yeah, exactly. And so that's what I pick. You can have like 7 of those and, feel really great. So, but with that, I did pick the beer that you brought, the Outside Jokes.
Hey, me too. So Outside Jokes wins.
Hey,
right?
Outside Jokes wins. It's great for you.
Winner here.
Not that I don't like Lug Tread, but I'm just going to save those Lug Treads for this weekend, I think. So.
Yeah, honestly, that's a good point. Honestly, for me, Lug Tread's just such a known quantity, and this beer's this was the second one I ever had. So
yeah, just different.
Right. So my sign-off beer was, Town Brewery Outside Jokes.
Yes, and my sign-off beer is Outside Jokes. But with that, you can reach us at Arena Regulars on Twitter and Instagram.
And hey, look for us on Arena under the username Arena Regulars Podcast. We just got moved down to Platinum.
Whoa, Platinum. I'm in gold in both of my accounts, so that's pretty bad. Not bad. It's just lower than that one, which makes me laugh. But we would like to shout out to our one listener. You know who you are.
You're the best.
You are the best. And with that... cheers.
Cheers.
And good night. All right, that's fine.